Hey, everyone, it's Matt Michaels. We're doing the DeFalco Files here with Douglas James. And Joe, let's get into a little bit of the stories regarding the Nevada State Championship and Doug and some of the circumstances and everything around that.
Well, I was going to elaborate because he was talking about T.J. Perkins. So if I can
Yeah.
go back to that, because before we get to the Nevada State, I had an idea that I thought would be fun. There was a guy in California that lived in Vegas, and he was always seeming to want to work together. And I said, I got this idea for a 2-night tournament called Limitless. And we were going to feature, 16, some of the best, some of the up and coming guys in, I guess you could say, the No Limits X Division tournament. And we had guys like Damian Drake, who was the No Limits champion at the time, Chris Bay, Jake Atlas. It was a who's who of wrestling that, especially on the West Coast, and we started the first show in California and we did it there. And that was where the first round was. So we would be able to knock, was it an 8-man or it was an 8-man or 16 man?
16. Yeah.
It was 16.
Yeah.
Okay. So the first round was in California.
Yep.
And so we knocked it down to 8 people. So then we had the second round match, which would bring it to the final 4. And in the final 4, we were going to do an elimination match to crown the Limitless winner. And needless to say, Chris Bay, Damian Drake, Douglas James. Who was the 4th finalist?
Matt, right? Vandergriff?
Was it Vandergriff? Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
If it wasn't him, it should have been. I don't know. I think
there you go. So needless to say, we were down to the final 4. Chris Bay and Damian Drake had done some matches, and they had the match of the year before. So we felt as the No Limits champion, it would be great for Damian Drake to pin Chris Bay. And then we went down to the final 2, and, Doug came out the winner. So with Doug coming out the winner, he has the momentum. He's the Limitless champ. He's won that title. So now we have TJ Perkins booked for a show, and no disrespect to any of the other guys. There's 20 guys that are capable of working TJ Perkins. It isn't like,
right.
It's only Doug, but coming off that big victory, how much more would the fans buy into DJ versus TJ, and doing the match, my idea, because it ended up proceeding into the idea of doing 3 matches, because the first match I said, hey, what if we do a time limit draw? We don't do it that much. It makes people want more. So we do the time limit draw. And now we're figuring, okay, where do we go from there? Well, I was unaware of TJ having any, MMA style skills in any way. I just know TJ, dude's been wrestling since he's 14 years old. I remember reading on the Dirt Sheets, Observer, I don't know where it was, and they were talking about how Bellator was talking with TJ Perkins about having him fight on one of their shows. And I'm like, what the fuck, TJ? So at that point, I believe I hit up TJ and I said, hey, you want to do Natural Born Killers, blah, blah, blah. And this is now the second one. And Doug's coming off a fantastic match with Lawler. But how good would it be to do a second match, MMA style? And then the idea was, hey, we had to draw the first match. Let's not give him that finish yet. Let's do a double knockout. And we did the double knockout, which ended up setting up for the third and final match, which we were going to have at the Mecca that we did on March 15th. And it was going to be an Iron Man match. That way we're going to have a winner. No matter what, we're going to have a winner. And then Friday, of that week, two of our wrestlers, Doug and Brian Pillman, were in Mexico wrestling. Doug got fucked up and Brian got sick. So neither one of them was able to make it to the Mecca. And being that this was the third match, it was also going to be for the Nevada State Championship that Doug had previously won against Hammerstone.
Yeah, I had a concussion. There was no way I could have wrestled an hour. There was no way, or even 30 minutes.
It was only 30 minutes, bro. 30.
Even whatever, no matter what, I couldn't even wrestle 2 minutes of that time. Yeah, so that was my last match ever. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. Before we get into that, the 2020 year that was,
okay, hold on, sorry. Can I piggyback off what you said about the TJ Perkins and the Limitless thing? I don't know how many people really know this, or even if Joe remembers this, but in the tournament, so that was in like April of 2018 or 19, whatever it was. It was in April or something. But I had dislocated my hip in November of 2018. Yeah. So then came back in January, and in April was the tournament. And when I wrestled Eli in the second round, the first match in Vegas, I tore my groin. My groin tore off the bone, and I did everything I could to like get through it because I wanted to wrestle TJ Perkins, and I wasn't gonna allow anybody to take my spot. But I don't think even Joe even knows this. I think he was like mad about the finish of the match, but I literally like tore my groin, and I had to go to the hospital and stuff, and it was pretty crazy. Yeah, nobody knows. I never talked about it, but true story.
No, I remember because it was like, what the fuck? I said Damian because he was the No Limits champion, and I didn't want a submission finish.
Yeah, and there was like nothing I can do about it. Like I couldn't like I could barely walk. I don't even know how I got through that.
Jesus.
But I remember like my whole leg, my right leg was like black and blue for like a month. You know, I didn't wrestle for a bit until around that time.
Wow. Well, that says a lot too about your fortitude and character, man. In terms of being a professional. When you get the Nevada State title, what were your expectations of yourself at that point?
I mean, I wanted to be like the guy there. So to me, being the Nevada State champion was a way to then be the heavyweight champion. I just kind of wanted to be the dude, and I thought it would help me be able to have different kind of matches and more story elements because I am the champion, and I was very grateful that I was put in a position to be a champion there. I mean, I worked my ass off for that. But yeah, I really just at the end of the day wanted to be the guy there. I wanted to be the champion, you know. So yeah.
And how for you, how was the experience? Like you said, the match with Lawler was absolutely, I mean, still one of the most intense matches. It was so good at Natural Born Killers. Yeah, man. What was it like for you to because a lot of times if you don't have an MMA background and you step into a ring and you try to pull that off, it looks so bad. But you and Tom obviously have had that experience. Was that a natural fit for you, or was that match a bit of a struggle for you?
I guess because I don't wrestle anymore, I can kind of like break the fourth wall, right? So yeah, like it was incredibly natural, and you know, I like, so I have a certain style, but I have a certain way of going about doing that, and I like things to be planned out. I like the improv and stuff, but I like it to look like an action movie. And Tom did not want to plan anything out. And I remember being really nervous,
Wow.
being like, "Oh fuck, okay, like I'm going against a UFC fighter." I mean, it was just like, "Oh, I'm exhausted. I just moved and stuff." I'm like, "Oh, Jesus, okay." And we had like a couple ideas, and that was it. That like legit, and we just went out there and felt and just like lived in the environment. And like, I want to say it was us, but it was also the crowd. Uh, it was such a good environment. It was like, I remember just like coming out and you could just like feel the energy. And that's like a very important thing, and I think we just played off that. And yeah, I do jujitsu. I understand how it works. And it just clicked. It was one of my favorite matches, if not my favorite match. And it was everything I love about pro wrestling. So yeah, it was just
there was three things on that show that I will always remember. The first one was in the first match when Ryan Couture took down Dave Mazzani and the crowd roared, and I was like,
yeah.
"Look!" It's like I can't believe it,
Yeah.
And the second was in this shoot style MMA fight. Lawler hits a tombstone pile driver for the win that the crowd went nuts for. And then, of course, Moxley showing up blew the roof.
My idea, by the way, my idea.
And what Doug said is 1,000% correct. We had no idea. I knew the success of Bloodsport. Cross had been wanting to do this type of event for a long time. And I'm like, it was UFC fight weekend. We were able to secure him Frank Mir and Dan Severin. And what we were shocked was there was a shit ton of UFC fans.
Yes.
Who came and really responded and loved what they saw, and it was like, the idea of the natural born killers was invented, and, we're looking to continue it, when we can. And Tom Lawler's already expressed, the idea of it now being his led show.
Oh, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah, Natural Born Killers 3, Filthy Animals or some shit like that.
That's cool. Yeah, hell yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, and despite the success with Cross, we feel that there's a marketplace for what we're doing. Bloodsport has shown it, and on the West Coast, we're the only ones who really done that type of event to that stature, to where people seen some unbelievable people. Like, we were surprised at how good a guy like Ryan Walker was. Here's an ex-Bellator fighter who came in and he loved the showmanship of professional wrestling, and having Gina Mazzani, of course, on it. And she was fighting with the UFC while she, fought on the both shows that we've had. So, there's so much that's going on that, talking about 2020, it's really, disappointing to where we are now, that we're actually ending the year and being where we are at in the terms of the professional wrestling business.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about 2020.
All right.
I'm sure this year was not what you were expecting, either of you guys.
Well, it started off with a bang with no escape in January.
Yeah. So at what point do you think that you first realized, Joe, where was it the last Mecca where everything shut down, that you realized, oh, this could be a longer process than we thought? Or was it something you thought, this probably last 2-3 weeks, whatever, and then we just move on? What was your thought process in getting the shutdown, the lockdowns happening in March?
Well, it really didn't seep in any way. It was like we were ready to go. We heard some stuff about it in the beginning of the week, was probably March 9th, which was the Monday. And then all of a sudden, the shocker was when the NBA announced that they were going to postpone the games. And then they came out with they're postponing the season. And it was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't understand what's going on. And at that point, it's Tuesday or Wednesday. Ring of Honor is scheduled to have a show at Samstown, which is the reason we always did the Mecca, Friday and Saturday. We're now into Thursday, and word was Ring of Honor is going to run. So, you know, there was no ifs, ands, or buts. And then I remember finding out right before, because we were setting up for them. You know, Thursday night we had set up and nobody had canceled it yet. It literally got canceled in an email like early Friday morning because half of the Ring of Honor crew actually ended up flying in. And, you know, it was Jay Lethal, one of my favorite guys in Ring of Honor, always super to talk to. We were there. I ended up actually getting him tickets for the MJ Live with Santana. They had nothing to do because the strip wasn't shut down. So it was like, okay, well, the Billy Idol concert's going on and 100 shows are going on. And some people were like, oh, are you still running? And I'm like, why wouldn't I run? It's like, it's Friday night. Well, Ring of Honor didn't run. And I'm like, well, Ring of Honor flew in 100 people from 60 different airports. So I guess they're erring on, you know, the idea of caution. We only have a couple of fly-ins and Pillman already canceled. So, and at that point, because of the situation, because we had done the Toy Con on Friday when Ted Blanchard wrestled Chris Bay. So on Friday, Rey Mysterio was there. Everybody was having a good time. Nobody was wearing masks. Nobody was really worried about what it was called the coronavirus back then, you know, and nobody was really worried about it. It was like, yeah, you know, hey, you know anybody who's got it? No, nobody seemed to know anybody who had even gotten it. And the ones who had gotten it, in almost all the cases, it was a glorified flu to what most people said. Right. So, but by the time Sunday hit, because I remember talking to Matt Hardy, and he was debuting at AEW that Thursday, that the wife was concerned. He chose not to go because he had Jacksonville, and he was concerned that the airports might close and he'd be stuck in Vegas.
Right.
Now, this is late Friday night. Now I'm starting to be a little worried about what's going on. You know what I mean? And then by Sunday, it's kind of like, okay, I think we're good. We had a few people that were flying in. They made their flights. Everything was good. The crowd was excited. You know, the lines for, you know, the meet and greets were tremendous. We had a few people that were coming from Arizona for the whole weekend. So we refunded their tickets, even though our show wasn't canceled. Wanted to have goodwill because with Ring of Honor canceling, these fans have come to our shows before, and I'm not worried about their $100. I'm worried about them down the line because, again, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to run our show. They're going to close things down. Yeah, 3-4 weeks, you know, we'll be ready to roll. And, you know, we had to make some adjustments to the card. Pillman couldn't make it. So I saw Cepha at the Toy Con, and we got him to work Willie Mack, which was a tremendous match. And then Doug with the concussion said he couldn't make it. So then we switched it around and inserted TJ into the No Limits 4-way, which gave Ice Williams an opportunity to not only work with Funny Bone and Remy, but he got to work TJ Perkins himself.
Yeah.
So, you know, the crowd, the show was a success. Now we're moving forward. This is going to be the biggest year in FSW history. And then on March 15th, so I guess March 16th on Monday, the shit just hit the fan.
Yeah.
And the next 3 months, there was not one, not two, but 3 or 4 major things that occurred with the Me Too, the Black Lives Matter. There was just so much stuff that went down that literally everybody forgot about the COVID for a month or two.
Right.
They were dealing with so much other shit that was happening in this country.
So with you, Doug,
Mhm.
you know, you get a concussion, and you get back to LA, and then all of a sudden lockdowns happen. Um, what was it like for you at that beginning phase? Um, was it kind of a relief to, get a little bit of chance to at least let the concussion subside and kind of
So we're just gonna talk about the beginning part, right? Okay. So like Joe was saying, but for me personally, 2020 was the biggest year of my career. I worked 5 years for this,
right?
in January, on January 4th, I'm an idiot and I decided to jump off like a 30-foot ladder and I broke my arm, and it's almost been a year and my arm is still messed up. But I wrestled 6 days later. Then I flew to Dallas to do MLW. Then I went to Australia and I did all this on a broken arm. And it was going to be my year. And right before March happened, I was supposed to go to Japan to wrestle for Noah. I was supposed to be there for about a month, maybe a little longer. I was going to represent MLW and be, and like going to Japan was like my dream.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's what happened. It was like, hey, their office are closed for like a week. Give it a week. And like because I had like 99% confirmation. It was like, hey, just give it a week. And then I was like, hey, give it 2 weeks. It's closed. And then it was like, oh, we don't even know when it's going to happen or what's going to happen. And for me, it was a real kick to the gut. I mean, I think like anybody else, there's a lot of uncertainty. There's a lot of no one knows what's going to happen. And for me, like I worked for this, and I was supposed to be in Canada and Japan, and I just thought like, nobody knows what's going to happen. And I freaked out a little bit. I freaked out. It was hard. Yeah. But that for me, that's what it was. I was supposed to have this year, or I thought I was, and it all changed.
And so Joe, you brought up a good point. You have all these Me Too movement and then the Black Lives Matter movement starting, and then all of a sudden a Speak Out movement happens, and now things just kind of snowball in a totally different way because the industry was directly being affected by something that was created inside of the industry. For that time period, then this kind of changes your life, Doug, in terms of trajectory.
Yeah, 100%.
What made you? What was the realization moment, and what were you looking to do in terms of, does this take you to a point where you go, you know what? I need to work on things personally. How does this start changing your life to, become the person you are now trying to become, someone who's more enlightened and, you know, um, leaving kind of that, what was supposed to be your ear behind you, and essentially making it a different, prospectively, your year, because it's something that you didn't even see change was needed, but now you're doing something that is, just to me, again, very inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I'll be as honest as I can be. It's been very difficult. You have to understand that whatever was said or had happened was like 3 years ago. After whatever, I took myself to a rehab. I went to rehab, and I got myself in better shape. If you look at my wrestling from like 2017 to like 2019, you'll just see a physically different person. I changed my life, and I just didn't talk about it all the time. I try to spread positivity, but I mean, I was also playing a character.
Yeah.
You know, I was a wrestler. You know, and I believe a wrestler should be a certain thing. So yes, so for this to all come out 3 years later or something, it shook me. I've had to relive it, and you know, I made a mistake. I made a mistake. I made mistakes. Um, we all do. You know, there's just levels to it. Um, it has allowed me time to reflect on myself and like what I want and what I want with my life and what I want with my future. And I think one of the reasons why I wanted to do this is I just hope, you know, whether it's a wrestler or a fan that's listening, to know that like you're not your mistakes. You know, it's what you do with your mistakes that matter. It's how you have to, like, you know, look deep, and you got to like figure yourself out, right? And it's like it it takes a lot of courage to admit you're wrong. And you know, so I just like hope for anybody listening or watching or whatever is that like you're gonna be okay, but you gotta like put in the work. And it's like with wrestling, right? Like I had to put in the work to get to be a champion for Joe. I had to put in the work, right? Um, and sometimes that happens with being a good person. And for me, like I live a life of sobriety. If I fuck up, I try to admit I'm wrong right away and all that stuff. And um, yeah, it all took me like very much by surprise. You know, I don't fault anybody. I made my mistakes. It's all good. You know, I always felt I was nice to people or went out of my way and stuff. And you know, I lost everything. I lost a lot of friends. I lost my childhood dream. You know, I lost all these things, but it's not a feel bad for me. It's like I've gained a lot more though, and I've gained myself, and I've gained a plan for my future, and it's all good. But it's the reality that we have to pay for our consequences. There are consequences for our actions, you know, and like yeah, I don't know. It's very heavy, man, and like uh, I don't feel the punishment fits the crime, but at the same time, like who the fuck am I to say that, right? So I
Well,
just
and
I've got to move forward. That's all.
yeah, and one of the most respectable things about that is that you didn't run away from it. And I think that a lot of times when things in our past, you know, come out, or, you know, we're dealing with something like that, the tendency is to just deflect and run away. And you owned everything, but you owned your own life. And what is cool is to see you posting things on Instagram where you are, you know, doing a little mat wrestling, and you can see, because I was one of those kids who I wrestled from the age of like 10 to, you know, high school.
Yeah, yeah,
There's a pure joy when you get to grapple again,
yeah.
because it kind of takes you to that place of, hey, this is where I found my comfortability when I was younger.
Yeah, and you have to understand, like, I wanted to be a professional wrestler, you know,
Yeah.
and but like I ruined that, you know, and that's okay. So I just try to find, yeah, happiness in other things, and that's all you can do is move forward, you know. And yeah, I would never run away from this. I think that's like silly. I think there's plenty of people that maybe are doing like lawsuits or or I don't know. I think that's weird, you know. Yeah, I messed up, I guess. I mean, I had a very bad problem with alcohol. Uh, this is very difficult for me to say. I don't talk about this much, but I had a very difficult problem with it, you know. And a lot of those things that were said, I don't remember, you know. And that's just like the truth. It's not an excuse. I just don't remember, and that's a problem. That's a problem, you know. And that's something where I've had to reflect and like figure it out and try to move forward, you know. And I think that's all we can do. And you know, I apologize to like people that support me, maybe that I let down or something. And you know, but all I try to do is move forward, and yeah, I think that's all we can do, right? It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, it's just weird. It's like I just wanted to be a pro wrestler. I didn't expect to like have my life in public. It's a
Sure.
trip. It's weird. It's weird. People can Google you and stuff. It's strange. But yeah, like we're all human. Some people mess up more than others, and there's degrees to things. But you have to try to better yourself every day, no matter what. And even if you fall off today, it doesn't mean like you fall off tomorrow too, right? It's like you can get back
Right.
up and keep going. Like if you're on a diet and you start eating cheesecakes or pizza, I love that stuff. And it's like, like you don't have to keep doing it every day. You just stop, and get back on the horse. So that's what I'm doing.
So Joe, from the perspective of starting at speaking out, going forward in the year, obviously FSW was impacted, and impacted a little bit, you could say for the better, because elements that were, not good got removed. When you think about now the past, few months and everything just kind of playing out since then, what is your perspective of looking at what happened in 2020 to the wrestling business from that standpoint of, having to address something that really was never fully addressed, by such a massive amount of people, country-wise, getting involved in this, and starting something that kind of hopefully opened a little perspective to make sure certain things don't happen in the future.
Well, first off, if you know me, you know that I'm an extremely positive person. Okay. Even when it comes to issues, because I've dealt with hundreds and hundreds of students, wrestlers, production people, everybody involved. I'm Papa Joe. I'm the guy who they have to for decisions, what I think. And when it comes to people, even some that you later find out are pieces of shit, because that's what they are. The thing is, I'm the type of person that's always trying to look for the good in somebody. You know, my theory has always been, and that's how certain people have gone, and it was never to the extreme magnitude of what's been going on this year. But when you're good, when your bad outweighs your good, that's it. I'm done with you. We joke about it and stuff like, hey, Greg Romero, he's been out of here, 4 different times. And there was a lot of different issues, but it was nothing to that extreme. But the thing was, at that point, it was time for a break. And he
Right.
came back, and he was young, and there's all different reasons. And he is a lot different now than he was 7 years ago. Is he still a little hot headed? Of course he is. But he's learned how to, curtail that. And unfortunately, while we were closed, we came across some information, and we took action immediately. And then, right when we opened up, Sandra Moon, who opened up everything, so I'm not exposing her to that, she had informed us about something, and we took care of that also. We looked at what was said, and in some cases we were horrified for certain things. Some of the other stuff was things that are going to be done amongst adults that isn't really cool, and you have to curtail them. And at that point, we implemented a zero tolerance policy. Okay. And but the main concern was, if you do have an issue and you're made to feel uncomfortable, you need to let us know. If you're hiding it and your boyfriend doesn't know and your family doesn't know, how would I know? You know what I mean? And there's nothing you can do about something unless you know about it. And, you know, I've reached out to Doug on a decent amount of occasions. You know, you deal with people throughout life and you like people. There's people you deal with. Doug is a guy I genuinely like. I heard about the situation. I understood the situation. Everybody, as he said, makes mistakes. And it's what you chose to do. Doug went to rehab. Doug tried to better himself. And Doug is trying to be the best person he can be. And sometimes people say you don't deserve a second chance. Well, Joe DeFalco's always been known as the guy to maybe give the third and fourth chance, and sometimes people don't warrant it. And, you know, Doug's a guy I would never give up on. I think he's extremely talented. I tell him anytime I talk to him, you're a fucking idiot if you don't go back and pursue your dream of what you want to be. You know, everything's been put on hold. It's a pause. I understand how you're looked at by some people. You know what? Everybody doesn't like everybody. Okay. I saw stuff that's happened with us that's involved some people, and there's people who have no idea who the fuck I am, who we are. And oh, FSW knew about it and they didn't do anything about it. And FSW did this and Joe DeFalco did that. And you know what? Fuck you. You know, it's like you don't know what was going on. Nobody knew about things, and all we could do is react to it. You know, I would never allow stuff that supposedly happened. And there's people that just don't want to see people succeed.
Right.
And, you know, this goes to, especially nowadays with Facebook and Twitter. And it's just like, you know what? People just say whatever they fuck they want to say. They don't know any of the story. They take 3 words out of the paragraph and utilize that to make their story sound right. And, you know, if I didn't do so much wrestling business on Facebook, I'd be off that motherfucker months ago. You know what I mean? Because our diehard fans, if I tell them something, and again, whether it's true or not, if I say this, that, and the other thing, they believe me because they know Joe and they believe that I'm a good person. Then there's the people who don't know you or didn't like you, because there's a lot of people who tried to wrestle and did this and they weren't good enough. So they needed to make excuses to why Joe didn't put him on a show. Oh, Joe doesn't like me anymore. No, it's because you suck now. You're out of shape. You're not putting in the effort that you once did. And everybody always wants to look for a reason to blame, except looking in the mirror to blame themselves. I feel know what I'm good at, and I definitely know what I'm not good at. And I have no problem differentiating the two. You know, in the world of wrestling, it is a delusional world. And sometimes people get a little more delusional about themselves and where they belong in the business. And, you know, 2020 has made me realize, you know what? I have to do what's best for Joe DeFalco, and I have to do what's best for FSW. And if I feel Douglas James is a part of that, I'm going to continue. Hey, Doug, what are you doing? Hey, you want to come by? Hey, just come check out the show. Whatever it is, you know, there's passions for things. I started this business and my goal was to get back the money I invested. I never thought that I was going to make money from this.
Right.
And we actually started to make some money. Now, Vince McMahon money, of course not, you know, but money was being made. You know, it's been a while since we had to take money out of our pockets to let the business run. What we seemed to be doing was successful and people enjoyed it. And there's so many people, you know, from the kids class students to the fans, that if it wasn't for FSW, some of these people, almost all these people would have never met. Some have gotten married. Some of them are now best friends. And it's all because of this idea to, hey, let me start a wrestling promotion. And there's numerous people, you know, especially the most important one to me is the kids in the kids class. A lot of them like wrestling. They don't have a lot of friends. They got to open up. And a lot of these kids now hang out together. And before the pandemic, when somebody like Sandra Moon or Laz finally got their first matches, graduating from the kids class into the regular shows, you'd see 10 kids from the kids class that are still friends with them that would come out to support them. And it's like, I know I've done everything I could to make it a safe environment, make it a place where people wanted to be.
Yeah.
And it really is tragic on how people try to twist things and try to turn everything into a negative.
Ain't that the truth, Joe? Ain't that the truth?
Okay.
I just, yeah, I mean,
It's like
I think
everybody's asleep.
I just think people kind of like unfortunately look for the negatives and things, and it's not your fault, man, at all. You know, like it's not your fault that I wrestled for you and like I had this happen. So like you
I
should.
think everything's freezing.
Hold on.
It's not my fault then.
Yeah, this one's you, Joe. You're frozen.
Long lost friend.
I'll go away. Just kidding.
You know, the government got emotional when they heard my speech and they
they cut you off, huh?
they cut me off.
You know, Doug, what has it for you been like? Has it been a good transition? Have you felt more, you know, clear-headed? Have you felt better since you've, you know, gone into a rehab and are, because I know the battles, man. I've been there. I've used the double fist all the time. So
yeah, right. Yeah. Again, you have to understand that the thing that happened like 3 years ago. You know, yeah, my wrestling, like I fixed myself and my wrestling career took off. You know, I went from being like a local LA guy to wrestling all over the country in Australia, and you know, and that was the power of sobriety. That was the power of changing yourself. The pandemic happened, and I had some battles myself. But all of this kind of came out of nowhere for me. You know, I didn't. You know, it just. Yes, it might seem like I post more positive stuff now, but you have to understand, I was a fucking pro wrestler. Like, I was just living the gimmick, man, and I was just doing my thing. And yeah, it all is just taking me by surprise. And you know, I've had a lot of. It's like I'm just guilty. Nobody. Not many people have asked me what happened. Not many people asked me my opinion. They just cut me off, and it's like, all right, I was wrong, man. I made a mistake, and I've tried to fix it. I'll never be that way ever again in my life. I don't know what to say. It really just all just fucking shook my life. I'm not. I can't say I'm happier now without wrestling. You know, I haven't wanted to be a wrestler since I was 7, and I was doing it, and I did something that made me not be able to do it again. But I'm like, I have ideas of what I want in my life, and I don't think that involves wrestling anymore. I've been able to grow and develop, and there's certain things that unless I was making $1 million in wrestling, I wouldn't really be able to get. And I think I want to use my experiences, the good stuff, because it's like it's not all black and white. You know, there's shades of gray. We're not all good or bad. You know, like there's really good people that do bad things. There's really bad people that do good things. And I just want to use my experience to maybe help people. Like I'm going back to school, and I would like to be a counselor, preferably be like youth, you know, or whatever. I don't know. I'm figuring that out. And I do those like motivating videos. They help me. I just kind of want to do more of that stuff. I think I'm done wrestling. I don't know. I don't think it's healthy for me anymore. And I think that's the most important thing is being healthy and being true to yourself. And it ended so negatively for me that I don't ever want to go back, you know. And but I just want people to know, like, you can fix yourself. It's okay. Like, yeah, you fall down, you get up. You know, if you hurt somebody, better apologize. Number one, but number two, don't do it again. Don't do it to somebody else. Or if somebody hurts you, don't hurt somebody else. You know, yeah, these are just like life lessons, man. And like wrestling helped me in so many ways. I got to like live my dream. I got to travel, you know. I got flown to Australia. Like, you know, these are like really, it's cool. It's really cool, you know. So I like to look at the good things. I got to be a champion. Like, I got have championship belts, you know. I got paid to drop kick people, you know. I had a match with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat being my guest referee, you know. I got to do it, you know. And I can only blame myself for how it ended, right? And that's just something I have to live with and grow with and deal with. And yeah, man, it's all good. It's very unfortunate. I feel like I don't feel like the punishment fits the crime. I really don't. But at the same time, again, who am I to say, right? It's easy for me to say. But yeah, I'm very grateful for what wrestling did for me. I'm very grateful for Joe or people like Joe that gave me a chance. You know, I'm just my dad wasn't a wrestler. My brother wasn't a wrestler. They never watched it. You know, I figured all this out on my own.
Yeah.
So not to sound cocky or something, but I'm very proud of what I did, you know, and I think that's okay. It's okay to be proud of yourself. You know, it's a confidence thing. And I know
Right.
that it's like I put a lot of work into something good came out of it. So the next thing I do in my life, I'm just going to do the same thing and just bring that passion and that drive and that hard work and relentlessness and achieve my goals, you know, and it's just not going to be wrestling anymore. That's all.
Joe, when you hear Doug's idea of what he sees himself doing in the future of, hopefully helping people and becoming a counselor in some aspect, what does that make you feel about Doug as is this something that you can see him achieving success in doing because of the person that he is?
Absolutely. You know, the thing is, what I want, what you may want, what his fans may want is all great. But Doug is only going to succeed by doing something that he wants. And if the desire and passion isn't there, even no, maybe in a year or two.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It wants to bop out.
Yeah. Okay. So it's working for you and I, just not him, right?
Right. Yeah, Joe, you're
Joe was just about to tell me how much he likes me too. Oh, the suspense.
oh man. All right.
Undisputed Era? Is that what it is? I don't know. I don't watch wrestling anymore. I don't know.
You're not missing anything.
I don't think I am. Yeah.
But the good news is Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt will be fighting for the 385th time coming up at the next pay-per-view.
Hey, I just want to tell you guys off the record, though, I really appreciate this. You know, I don't expect to be hit up or asked to do anything. So this definitely means a lot to me. So just off the record, I don't want anybody to know that. Just you guys, this means a lot. Thank you.
All right, make sure you post it later, man.
Oh, sure.
I got to make sure when I tell Ben that it's ready, that he's got to look at a lot of editing stuff. So
yeah, maybe we erase the loony bin thing.
That's fine with that.
But are we right on the record now? Are we live?
Yeah, let's. That part was off the record but recorded, so we're gonna make sure.
So it's on the record, I guess. I'm lounging now. All right, yeah, let's do this.
Let's finish up with this. So as we kind of wrap up and look at things, let's do this, Joe. What has Doug meant to you, and do you see yourself keeping that door open to him in terms of maybe if he does want to return in the ring, or even if he wants to come out and support or maybe do something else in the aspect of helping out FSW in any way? Is that door always open for him? And what are your feelings about DJ just overall, man?
He's definitely one of my favorite people. He's a guy that I've watched grow and become, exceptional at this business. Just because you think a guy's going to be pretty good, being pretty good is a lot different. He's the only guy who got kicked out of 2 companies in Mexico. That says something. Hey, did you get that Christmas card from Conan yet?
Not yet. Keeping it 100 though.
Okay, as long as you're doing that. But he's a guy that worked well with everybody, and it isn't just what I think. Our locker room has what you could say a lot of leaders, and there's guys who've been around, and I don't really recall anyone having anything but great words to say about Doug. I know Remy's a big fan, and he was looking forward to taking the Nevada State title from him instead of wrestling Hyperstreak for it, which should be an outstanding match. But I'm waiting for the day that Douglas James comes back knocking, saying, "Hey, Remy Marcel, how you been? I'd like to see that," and get to see some dynamic matches. He didn't win the Limitless tournament because he was my nephew, or like, it isn't a family affair. The thing in FSW that for a fact is you're going to get there because of your abilities, and there's more to it than just being a good wrestler. There's a lot of good wrestlers, and you need to have all those attributes. And like I said, there hasn't been many negative words said about Doug up until before, when they were starting to say the negative stuff, obviously. But yeah, I know what I see in people, and I think Doug's a great dude, and we're lucky to have him as a part of the FSW family.
And Doug, I mean, again, there's a lot of emotion there, a lot of love your way. We're all dealing with the pandemic. We're all, if you're in Los Angeles, like you're dealing with like lockdowns.
Yeah.
For those people who might be watching or listening, who might have had struggles with alcohol in their past and now find themselves locked up with a lot of nothing to do and a lot of stress and tension, what is your advice in terms of being able to make sure that they don't rely on using alcohol or any other type of substance to deal with the reality of what is going on in their
Yeah.
lives.
Great question. First of all, Joe, you almost made me cry, you asshole. But I don't like to be too political or anything like that. I know the virus is very real and it's very scary, but not a lot of people talk about how high the suicide rate is, how high relapses. There's a lot of people that are relapsing that were, clean for amount of time and stuff. And it's a very scary time. And there's so much more casualties
Yeah.
from like a lockdown situation, that nobody's really talking about, like the mom and pop business, all that stuff. But number one, you have to find a purpose. I think establishing something you can do that's fun. So I started collecting certain things that's fun for me. I try to read a lot, read more than normal. I don't work out as much because all the gyms are closed, but you got to stay busy too. And say, for instance, you fuck up. So if somebody's listening that has a problem with alcohol, and you were to drink today, you don't have to drink tomorrow. I think that's the thing too, is I think we get lost in that cycle. I kind of mentioned it before, but that's one thing too, is just trying to keep going. So I do a lot of reading. I do a lot of researching. I love looking at the idea of like addiction or psychology. So I'm going back to school for psychology. But yeah, finding a purpose, believing in yourself, talking to people. I got cut off from a lot of people, and it's very fair. So it's okay, but the people that still talk to me, it almost means way more now. Right. And so I just try to, I have like a life coach that I talk to, and like a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps me. And yeah, I just think just being open. I have a very good family, so being open to my family and stuff. It's a tricky situation. It's very hard. Find hobbies. Find things to do. I draw, reading, watching. Just keep yourself distracted, because I think sometimes a lot of us do it out of boredom. It's out of oh, I'm bored, I'm going to eat, or I'm bored, I'm going to drink, or I'm going to smoke or something, right? So keeping yourself busy, occupied. I like to do things so that at night I'm just tired and I just fall asleep.
Sure.
That's a big thing for me, because if I don't do much, I'm up and I just want to do something to knock myself out, right? It's very difficult, and I think, but if anybody's out there that maybe follows me or doesn't, you can reach out to me. I'm always here to talk to anybody, and we are really all in this together, and yes, I've made mistakes. It doesn't make me a bad person, and if you made mistakes, it doesn't make you a bad person either, and it's okay, and it's gonna be okay, but you have to make an effort to change, or whatever. Change is like a strong word. We're all looking to improve ourselves, I'm not to be honest, I'm not a completely different person than I was 5 years ago. I'm just a little more aware. I'm a little bit more sincere, and I'm a lot more grateful. And I think that's the important thing. I haven't, I still have a good heart. I've always had a heart. And this year has been crazy. Next year, it's probably going to be the same, to be honest, for people. It might get scarier the longer this goes out. So, be kind to one another. Don't use people. Don't abuse people or use people. Treat everybody like they're your fucking dad. I don't know, or mom or something. I think it's too often you see maybe I know I'm going on a rant right now, but you walk by somebody that's maybe homeless, and you just pass them off. It's just say hi. You don't have to give them money. Just say hi. Sometimes they just need to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
It really goes a long way, and I think losing a lot for me lately. You realize how much that actually means to you. Like when I didn't want to really say many names, but like Hammerstone, hit me up and wished me a Merry Christmas, and it was like it meant a lot,
Sure.
and
Hey, I even got a Christmas card from him.
I just there's like I wanted to bring this up. Maybe this is not but like Vinny Wasco, right? Vinny
Sure.
was like, first of all, Joe, push this guy. He's the best. Like you're missing out. But really, so backtrack a little bit. Santino started like a mentorship kind of program on social media, or they tried to get like people like myself that were doing shows for a bit to help younger wrestlers. And I was already talking to Vinny, and I think we might have traveled once before. So I immediately jumped on it to help him. We became such good friends, and he's like the younger brother I never had, and it's very sad for me that I can't be there for him anymore, like in person wrestling and stuff. But I just can't wait to see this guy like do really good things. And Joe, you better make him a champion very soon. He's something else, He's
I'll only book him if you drive up with him just to watch the show.
I would go out of my way and I would pay you to do that.
Oh yeah, of course. I wasn't letting you get a free ticket.
But for real though, I get emotional about this kind of things, but like Vinny is very important to me, and I got that opportunity because of being at FSW, and I'll always be grateful for that kind of stuff. And like I loved wrestling, man. I don't know how to. I get emotional because I just I loved it. I lost everything, but just push Vinny. Just pretend he's me. I don't know what to say. He pretend he's me. I don't know.
Well, I think that's a good place to wrap up, and also a good segue to potentially talk to Vinny on one of the upcoming DeFalco files.
Oh, I can't wait.
Oh, I think so. I think Sorry about that. I just I love all of it. I love this shit. I just like fucking ruin it, right? And but for real though, someone like Vinny and like Matt Vandegrift, and Damian Drake, these people are incredible people, and like Nick Bugatti and Remy, and I miss all you guys. And, yeah, here in spirit, I guess.
Well, the book doesn't just have one chapter, Doug. There's always that chapter about redemption, my friend.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? I don't know. I think right now I need to focus on myself and focus on making sure I'm good, and I can't make those promises. I wish I could just frog splash somebody right now, of course.
Well, whenever you're ready to put over Vinny Wasco, you just say the word.
I think I'll only come back if I get to wrestle Vinny and he can beat me clean in like 5 seconds. So I don't really have to do anything,
Well, if you're only wrestling for, it's free, right? I don't have to pay you if you're only wrestling for 5 seconds, right?
I mean, sure, I'll pay you for this.
All right, that's.
No, but for real, maybe you'll see me. You never know. You never know when I'll be back.
Natural Born Killers 3's coming back, so that's not a wrestling show. That's an MMA style show.
I mean, you just don't announce me. We'll figure it out.
You never know who might be in under the mask.
I think that's the thing though. It's like I'm not limiting myself, and I think you never know about the future. I'm just I've tried to accept that it could be the end for me, and I have to do that to be able to move forward, because I don't want to. It's like having it's like having a girlfriend and you just like hold on to it like her, but she like left you months ago. You know, it's like you gotta like move on. You know, like
Yeah.
Wrestling was like my mistress. You know, and unfortunately she left. So you just got to move forward. You know, and I just want the best for people. I love seeing. I don't watch wrestling anymore, but I love seeing people succeeding. I love seeing like hard work paying off even in this pandemic, and it's inspirational for me, you know, to keep moving and doing what I'm doing. And I do get emotional just because like I love this shit. I wouldn't have been in the position that I was in, only wrestling for 4 years, if I didn't love it, you know.
Okay.
And that's not to like be boastful. It's just that like I got obsessed. You know, I was like all I thought about was wrestling. You know what I mean? And I just had to step away, and I really just wish everybody the best. And yeah, if you fuck up, just don't keep fucking up, you know, and do your best to just move forward and be the person you want to be. And I think it's a Joe Rogan quote, but it's like, you know, be the hero of your own story, right? You know, if your hero doesn't eat a lot of cheeseburgers, then stop eating cheeseburgers or smoking cigarettes or something, you know, like.
I thought it was a hero ain't nothing but a sandwich, but I don't know.
Well, I just be what you want to be, you know, and I think, I mean, like, you know, you got to be realistic. I can't play for the Lakers, you know,
Sure.
but
Yeah.
just
maybe the Clippers.
Maybe the Clippers. Maybe, hey man, maybe I have a shot. I just think not too many people tell you this stuff, you know, and I think people are either faking it or they don't believe it themselves. And maybe I wish I had somebody telling me this when I was younger, you know. But you can go out and get your shit and go out and do it. And if you mess up, and if you stumble along the way, just keep going. It's all good, you know. And yeah, this year. Oh, sorry, I got like ambulance going. This year was bad for everybody, like everybody, you know. And even people that succeeded in this year, it was still not the ideal situation. So don't worry about the year or the time. Just worry about yourself and bettering yourself every day. And I think that's just incredibly important, you know. And we're all in this together.
There we go. That has been a great message. You know, please know that I think all of your fans here and throughout, you know, the country and hopefully throughout the world, if they haven't, you know, seen this side of you or gotten to understand, you know, the situation, I hope they, you know, got to get a little insight into, you know, what it's been like for you, and also what it's been like for Joe this year as well. And you know, hopefully, here we go. 2021 is coming up, and here's to the New Year's. Everyone who's watching, please, if you do have any kind of alcohol issues or substance problems, please, there is a lot of help out there. Seek help. Also, if you follow Doug or if you start following Doug on social media, please, if you again need an ear or need advice, reach out to him. He's not going to, you know, turn you away. He's going to listen to what you have to say, because we are there for each other. And, you know, there's always an ear, there's always someone to help. And we all mess up during our lives. And, you know, sometimes it just takes events to kind of realize and help you move forward. And this is not the end of Douglas James, but the start of a next chapter of your life, man. And, you know, there's going to be bright things in the future. And I think you're going to help a lot of people. So, yeah, man, we appreciate your time. Joe, as always, appreciate your time. And
absolutely.
Until next week, everyone, take care.